The White House has released a statement that is so wildly anti-trans. They're basically saying that we want to take out all trans people in every capacity. And I want to read this to you. Now, I'm going to give you a trigger warning. If you don't want to hear anything harmful towards trans people and you've heard too much, just want to give you a trigger warning. I'm going to read it bar for bar. But I also want to point out that in this video at the end is a very nice section for anybody that is struggling right now and doesn't want to hear anything horrifying. I have very kind words for you at the end, so you can skip in the video. It's chaptered and do that. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna go ahead and get to reading this so we can understand what the White House directly from the president has said from his mouth. So this is the PDF from the White House. This is the United States Counterterrorism Strategy. It's from the White House of Washington, and I'll put the PDF in the top comment. Here goes the table of contents. We're gonna be going through all this. We're gonna read through it all real fast. Presidential foreword. When I returned to the White House on January 2025, 4 years of weakness, failure, surrender, and humiliation under the last administration came to an end. Love to hear the wild just anger and hate towards Joe Biden. Love to hear it. Today, our nation is strong. Our borders are secure, and the United States is respected all over the world. We are once again putting America first. I don't know about this statement. I don't feel like we're respected all over the world. As part of my commitment to defending America from all enemies, foreign and domestic, we are once again working to crush the threat of terrorism. Within 43 days, we apprehended the terrorist mastermind of the attack of the Abbey Gate in Afghanistan that left 13 American service members dead. In just 1 year, we brought back 106 American hostages from captivity abroad without paying a single dollar to their captors. That's pretty good. We designated key chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood as the terrorist groups they have always been. It's very just, I feel as if it's Islamophobic, very Islamophobic, but we're going to keep going. We mobilized the Department of Homeland Security to remove illegal alien criminals and jihadist sympathizers from our country. We ended the war in Gaza, secured the release of all hostages, and began the process of ensuring Gaza can no longer serve as a haven for terrorism and extremism by bringing security and prosperity to the region through the Board of Peace. Operation Midnight Hammer and Operation Epic Fury have dealt devastating blows to the world's number one sponsor of terror, the sinister regime in Iran, to ensure they can never have a nuclear weapon. So I just want to point something out here. This isn't like the war in Gaza isn't really like over. Like, yeah, it's still continually going. Like, it's still happening. Like, it's still, the 2-year war is like technically still happening. Like, it's over in the most like technical sense possible, but still technically going on. It's very odd to say that the war, like, we didn't even end the war technically, and also we didn't do anything to Iran with the Operation Epic Fury and stuff. That we didn't really do much. I'm not gonna criticize them too much. At the same time, my administration has put up an unprecedented focus on dismantling threats to the homeland in our hemisphere. We are no longer permitting the cartels and gangs who have poisoned millions of Americans to freely operate in our regime or smuggle their drugs, guns, or traffic women and children into our country. Okay, cool. That's nice. Last year, I rightfully designated the deadly cartels as terrorist organizations and began using the full strength and power of the U.S. military to stop and destroy their operations. Our armed forces also demonstrated their incredible power and skill by capturing the narco-terrorist outlaw, Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro, bringing him to face American justice. We will not let cartels, jihadists, or the governments who support them plot against our citizens with impunity. Terrorists of any kind will not be allowed to find safe harbor here at home or attack us from abroad. Our new U.S. counterterrorism stratagem is a return to common sense and peace through strength. Okay, I don't know about this. This seems evil. Like, peace through strength is that's a horrifying thing to say. As I said after our first successful counterterrorism mission, just days after sworn to office, if you hurt Americans and are planning to hurt Americans, we will find you and we will kill you. Okay, very horrifying, evil thing to say. To be quite honest with you, a very horrifying and evil thing to say. But let's keep going. So basically talking about counterterrorism in the totality of this entire thing, talking about using God-given rights and annihilating people. I'm just gonna summarize this because reading this is it gives me a headache. It's very sad. The real important part of this entire thing is the threat. So this is who Donald Trump feels the threat is. So I'm gonna take my glasses off so I can read this with full. Look at my big eyes. Read this full thing. We must protect our country from invasion, not just from unchecked migration, but from cross-border threats such as terrorism, drugs, espionage, and human trafficking. Under the leadership of President Trump, America is again the world's most powerful nation with the largest economy in history. That's just not true. The most advanced technologies and the bravest and most skilled warfighters the world has ever seen. You can kind of just say whatever for propaganda. You don't really have to say anything that makes any sense. You can just say, we brought in $14 trillion of trades. We're doing the greatest thing of all time. You can just say whatever numbers you want to. If it's all fake, it doesn't really matter. It just sounds cool. This newfound strength has been amply demonstrated by historic operations such as the neutralization of the Iranian nuclear threat under Operation Midnight Hammer and Operation Epic Fury, and the arrested. This is the same thing he just said. Okay, this is the same thing he just said. But the terrorist threat has changed. Hold on. This is important. The terrorist threat has changed. We face new categories and combinations of violent actors that make the established ways of doing counterterrorism insufficient or obsolete. We face a multiplicity of deadly threats from terrorist groups and non-state actors, often secretly supported by governments who wish to undermine us. So this is very important languaging here. He has stated that there are secretly supported by governments who wish to undermine us. Now, let's look at the threats of what they are. Currently, we face three major types of terrorist groups. These are the types: narco-terrorists and transnational gangs. Okay, that means that doesn't mean trans yet. Legacy Islamic terrorists. Okay, now this is the one that's insane. This is so wide. Violent left-wing extremists, including anarchists and anti-fascists. That means if you are against fascism, that means if you are a violent left-wing extremist, you're an anarchist in any way, the government hates you. We can defeat every single one of these groups, but the threat is significant and pervasive. So here goes the fun thing here. Now, I know they're trying to say Antifa right here, but you just put out the whole word. You want to destroy people who are against fascism. You want to take out people who are against fascism. Is basically what you're saying. Maybe I'm stupid. That's okay. I'd like to be educated. Maybe I'm dumb. The borderless America created by the Biden administration was so badly exploited by threat factors that during one 12-month period of the previous administration, more Americans died as a result of the illicit drugs flooded into the country by the cartels than all the U.S. servicemen killed in combat since 1945. That is an existential threat that President Trump does not tolerate. I want to fact check. Give me like 1 second. What I'm understanding about, let's see, it says 1945, about 150,000. I'm reading through this, sorry. 150,000. The 2.7 million casualties. Okay, I think 150,000 from 2.7 million is a little bit I'm not gonna get into the specifics. You can say whatever garbage you want to, Trump. I'm just keep reading. America's new U.S. counterterrorism strategy is driven by the principle that America is our homeland. Americans should be safe to live their lives with the fear of terror attacks, the threat of jihadists, the flooding of our communities with deadly drugs at the hands of foreign narco-terrorists, and violent left-wing extremists who have adopted radical ideologies antithetical to the principles upon which our republic was founded. Additionally, we will continue to ensure our counter-terrorist structures are not weaponized against the American people as prior administrations allow. So, left-wing people are now the same as jihadists, deadly druggers, narco-terrorists. They're the same. When it comes to state actors, our priority is to identify and fully degrade the lines of covert support provided to cartels and Islamists by our adversaries. A lot of Islamophobia here. This is going to make Islamophobia worse. This includes overt actions such as sanctions, shadow fleet oil tanker interdiction, and covert operations to make funding and state sponsorship very costly to inimical regimes, including their provision of dual-use technology, especially drones, advanced conventional weapons, and our precursor chemicals they used to make deadlier narcotics. These CT operations include offensive cyber operations against those planning to kill Americans or who to support those plotting to do so. I don't think left-wing extremists are planning to kill Americans. I understand the rest of the groups a little bit, that's very horrifying, but that just seems strange. Our CT strategy first prioritized the neutralization of hemisphere terror threats by incapacitating cartel operations until these groups are incapable of bringing their drugs, their members, and their traffic victims into the United States. At the same time, we'll continue to find and remove the cartel and gang members who were let into the country under the Biden administration while using FTO designations to strangle the commercial and logistical sinews of their organizations. Jihadi terrorists have continued to plot against and kill Americans, in part because of the failed forever war policies of prior Republican administrations, the empowerment of terrorist sponsoring regimes like Iran under Democratic administrations, and a past unwillingness to challenge Islamic ideologies head on. As a result, our second priority is the targeting and destruction of top 5 Islamist terror groups, and we have the intent and capabilities to execute external operations against the United States, starting with Al-Qaeda, especially is the most aggressive subgroup. Al-Qaeda is the Arabian Peninsula, AQAP, and ISIS, starting with ISIS Khorasan, ISIS-K, with the FTO designation of the Muslim Brotherhood MB. We will continue maintaining pressure on the global jihadi movement until global MB enterprises can no longer recruit and fund terrorists under the United States. Okay. Now, I looked up the word trans specifically because I wanted to see if it popped up. I'm sure I knew it was going to. Our nation has not been well served by the intelligence community, which has been mirrored in old ways looking at threats, or has been actively weaponized by its leadership as a political tool, whether plotting against conservative Catholics attending traditional Mass in Virginia, parents standing up for their children at school board meetings, members of Congress, or President Trump and associates. This administration will continue to prohibit the IC from being used politically against innocent Americans. As real threats were ignored or underplayed, Americans have witnessed the political motivated killings of Christians and conservatives committed by violent left-wing extremists, including the assassination of Charlie Kirk by a radical who espoused extreme transgender ideologies. Interesting. Very interesting phrasing there. Very interesting phrasing. It just feels strange to say that. In addition to cartels and Islamist terror groups, our national CT activities will prioritize a rapid identification and neutralization of violent secular political groups whose ideology is anti-American and radically pro-transgender and anarchist. Okay, I want to point this out, right? Him saying this just put a mark on every trans person, and then it just put a mark on all of them. This is bad. So I want to talk about this radically pro-transgender part. I want to talk about this radically pro-transgender part in the presidential address from the White House, because he is saying he will use all the tools constitutionally available to us to map them at home, identify their membership, map their ties to international organizations like Antifa, and use law enforcement tools to cripple them operationally before they can maim or kill the innocent. We will do the same with state sponsors of such group and those governments undertaking lethal plots on U.S. soil or against Americans anywhere. This is the most horrifying, evil, nasty, vitriolic, and filthy nonsense I've ever seen. In total, this is just angering and nasty to say. Why would you even try to do this? Is just gross and disgusting. Like, trans people are not a threat to U.S. soil. They're just trans. Like, why would you put that next to terrorists and narco-terrorists and groups of cartel members? That's a horrifying thing. That is horrifying. So many people have internalized this as the White House saying that they're literally going to take out every trans person. Now, the rhetoric surrounding transgender people has become dramatically harsher and colder and more hostile over time. The danger of political language is not always in one giant cartoonishly evil sentence saying, we gotta destroy all trans people. You gotta really read. That's why I read that for you guys. And if you want to read the article, it's in the top comment. It's the slow normalization of talking about an entire group of people like they are a threat to civilization itself. These people, these trans people, they're saying are a threat to everybody, which is just not true. The only threat they are is a threat to my mental health when I'm playing Melty Blood or my music career trying to learn hyperpop, and they're just better than me. That's it. Cruelty starts sounding reasonable to exhausted people that are exhausted and just angry, and it happens everywhere. Angry audiences who hear the same messaging every single day. The message does not need to directly say, we will kill them. The message just needs to say, these people are dangerous. They're dangerous. Well, what do we do with danger? We get rid of danger.
I'll let you guys know right now. They deleted my life. They violated me. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna die because somebody's feelings are hurt and their panties are in a twist. It's not gonna stop me. Listen, it ain't gonna stop me at all. I'm still gonna do my thing and I'm still gonna let y'all know what I think. Period. I don't care who likes it and who doesn't. If you like it, great. And if you don't, sorry for you. Try to take a sleeping med and go back to bed.
Despite all the trans hate that I see, I also see what I like to call these sleeper cells of, I don't know, these trans Republicans, like the Blair Whites or something of that variety. And they're just random people just, I'm trans and Republican, when the Republicans actually want you dead is insane to me. It's a little bit crazy.
Many of you guys already know who I am on this platform, and if you haven't already seen, down below, my name has officially changed. We rebranded my page on here as Alexis Chandler Official. So it's my official page for Alexis Chandler. Chandler is my middle name, as many people probably don't even realize at the beginning of this whatsoever. It was kind of like a stage name for TikTok, essentially. And, you know, I never thought we would build up such an amazing, beautiful platform with loving, accepting people on here that everyone told me to fear. You know, when I first started this page, everyone thought I was crazy. You know, I lost so many friends doing this, and I think it's been absolutely the most eye-awakening moment for me to officially be my true, authentic self with everyone on here and resonate with so many people. And I get to change so many people's lives as well because I break the standards where people just don't know. You know, there's a lot of questions people ask me, and I just absolutely love and adore people for everything and everything you guys have done and supported me through this whole entire journey of my whole glow up transformation, right? So officially, guys, I did change my name on here, and pretty soon you'll see my main name on there change as well. But it is, I just go by Alexis. It's that simple. It's that easy. If you do want to use it, love you even more. So absolutely, I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day. And as always, baby, we got midterms coming up, so.
I'm so curious, is there any, like, specific Republican administration or societal policies that help trans people? I don't think there are. I really don't think there's anything in any capacity at all that help trans people in any way, shape, or form. I don't think there is. I just don't find it in anywhere. I don't find it anywhere. A lot of rhetoric coming from a lot of political figures, a lot of media personalities, and people ordering the current administration, people orbiting it, has shifted from, well, we disagree on policy, into language that frames trans existence itself as something inherently dangerous, corrupting, manipulative, predatory, socially contagious. And this framing changes the emotional atmosphere around people, whether politicians admit it or not. Once you repeatedly present a minority group as a looming threat to children, morality, religion, or national stability, as Trump did in his White House address or something sort, you are not just debating anymore. You are emotionally preparing audiences to view those people with fear and disgust. The debate, which you're not doing, was just the surface. The emotional preparation is the actual work. The work is happening every single day across every platform. And then there's this psyop of, oh, well, this trans person is actually cool with Republicans. It's like in 2016 when I got psyoped into Black MAGA. Like, I got psyoped into it, and it was horrifying. I didn't even know, because I was just stupid back then. It's an idiot like me back in the day. An idiot's gonna see this and get psyoped into it. It's basically like the Black KKK. All right. Oh, wait a second. The KKK is cool with black people? Yeah, you gotta understand. You're just less than me. Okay, I understand that. Cool. Okay, that's cool. The internet makes it spiral faster because every speech clip, that's ammunition. Every headline is rage bait. Every trans person online becomes a symbolic battlefield for strangers who have never met them. Regular people trying to exist peaceably become avatars for some gigantic culture war where politicians score points by turning vulnerable people into political mascots, and audiences either defend or attack like sports teams screaming into a stadium. The people in the middle are not players. They did not sign up for the game. The game was created around them without their consent. The bodies become the field. Their lives became the score. What's more horrifying is how quickly the empathy around everything gets evaporated once rhetoric gets normalized at this scale. I'm messing up my words so much. 5 years ago, some statements that get applause today would have shocked people. Now, entire crowds cheer when politicians mock pronouns, laugh at identities, talk about trans people like a social infection spreading through schools and media. Language matters because repeated language builds emotional permission structures. Beings slowly adapt to cruelty when it is weaponized and wrapped in patriotism, religion, or protecting society. History keeps proving this. The pattern is so old, but the packaging is always new. The mechanism has not changed. You tell someone a group is a threat long enough, they stop asking for advice or evidence or anything. The repetition becomes the evidence and the advice. Actual trans people are sitting in the middle of all this, trying just to survive daily life while being the center of national panic campaigns they never asked for, ever. Imagine waking up every day and seeing politicians debate whether your identity is valid, whether your health care should exist, whether your presence around children is suspicious, whether your life is a sign of societal collapse. Strangers online celebrate every hardship your community faces like it's a scoreboard victory against wokeness. That kind of constant hostility does something to a person psychologically. It wears holes into people's sense of safety. It's disgusting. The holes, they accumulate. The accumulated holes will become this deep exhaustion inside of your body. And then when you're exhausted, you have an exhausted population, you can manipulate them. It's nasty. What makes this so ugly to me is how so many people pretend rhetoric has no consequences while simultaneously understanding perfectly well that rhetoric shapes public behavior in every context. Politicians know words move people emotionally. Media figures know outrage mobilizes audiences. Entire campaigns are built around emotional framing. That's how people get confused, because people think that people vote logically. No. People will always vote emotionally. That's it. There are single issue voters, and some people's single issue is just trans people. So when trans people say the environment feels more dangerous now, they are not imagining that shift out of nowhere. They are reacting to years of escalating language that increasingly treats them as a national problem needing to be solved instead of human beings needing dignity. Then listen, trans people make up like 1% of the entirety of America. Did you know that? It's like 1% of the entirety of America, right? And 1% of the population controls all the wealth. We're fighting the wrong 1%, dude. We are fighting the wrong 1%. Whenever I point this out or talk about these things, someone always jumps to extremes. They act like acknowledging dangerous rhetoric means accusing every conservative of wanting violence that shuts down the conversation instantly and guarantees nobody examines how radicalized the discourse has actually become. Most people are not violent extremists. I'm not stupid. Dehumanizing rhetoric does not require everyone to become violent to still create damage, though. It creates fear. It creates social isolation. It creates harassment. It creates environments where unstable people feel morally justified targeting others because they believe they are saving society from something monstrous. The unstable people are few. The environment that validates them is large. The environment, to me, is the bigger problem. I hate this entire conversation because it's become so poisoned that basic empathy now feels politically controversial. You should be able to disagree on policy without making people feel hunted. You should be able to discuss sports, healthcare, schools, or law without turning an entire group into cultural demons for millions of angry viewers to obsess over daily. Once politics starts requiring villains instead of solutions, the country slowly forgets how to see human beings underneath all the labels they keep attaching. That is when societies start drifting into very dark places while everybody convinces themselves they are still the good guys. The good guys do not usually know they are the good guys. Did you know that? The good guys are too busy checking their own behavior. The people who are certain of their goodness are usually the ones who need to look closest. The White House did not directly say they're going to kill all trans people, but the languaging, they do not need to. The machine works fine without explicit commands. Every speech, every policy, every press release, every interview, every social media post from aligned accounts builds the same message brick by brick. Trans people are a danger. Trans people are an ideology, not an identity. Trans people are being pushed on children. Trans people are eroding family values. Trans people are a threat to women's spaces. Trans people are a sign of moral collapse, brick by brick, wall by wall. The wall is not built in a day. The wall is built one dehumanizing sentence at a time. And Trump always promised he was going to build that wall. He's building it. One day the wall is tall enough that people cannot see over it. They cannot see the people on the other side anymore. They only see the threat they were told was there. The people on the other side are still there. They have always been. They're not going anywhere. They just want to exist. They just want to wake up, go to work, love their families, and not feel like their very existence is a political debate that strangers get to vote on. I'm not asking for a radical demand. I'm asking for baseline human dignity. The fact that it has become controversial to say that out loud is a thing that keeps everyone awake at night. Not the debates, not the policies. The fact that basic kindness now requires a disclaimer and a defense. The fact that trans people deserve to live is considered a political statement instead of a moral baseline. The baseline has shifted so much. So let's talk about trans people. You guys are safe, by the way. Here, I have spent a lot of time on this channel talking about what's broken, the rhetoric, the fear, the way language turns into walls, the way walls turn into isolation, the way isolation convinces people they are alone when they are not. I have talked about the danger, because the danger is real, and pretending it does not exist helps no one. But I have not said enough about what exists on the other side of the danger. The people. The actual human beings sitting in the rooms right now, reading comments, watching the news, feeling the temperature drop around them, wondering if anyone sees them as anything more than a talking point in someone else's culture war. And to quote Barack Obama, let me be clear. Trans people are safe here. Trans people are loved here. Trans people are protected here. I don't have a hashtag or a slogan. I don't have that. I don't have any of that garbage. I really don't, because that doesn't do anything. Right? This is a commitment to people. Period. Even if you hate me with your whole chest, even if you're a trans person that insulted me for voting for Trump in 2016, not knowing his danger, I do not tolerate dehumanization. I do not platform cruelty. I do not pretend that both sides' rhetoric applies when one side is arguing for someone's right to exist. I know I sound like an enlightened centrist sometimes, but my ability to criticize is not me stating that I like the other side or think both sides are evil at the same time. That is not a political stance. That is a baseline. My baseline should not be controversial. The fact that it is controversial tells you everything about how far the discourse has drifted so much. I am not a politician. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. I am not a savior. I am not a saint. I am not a philosopher. I am a black man in Detroit. As a matter of fact, even before that, I am a person with a platform who decided a long time ago that silence is complicity. I have been silent on things before. I have been dumb, and I regret that silence and that stupidity. I have done disgusting things over and over again. I am not going to repeat it. So here it is, plain and without qualification. Trans women are not men. Trans women are women. Trans men are men. Non-binary people are non-binary. Trans people deserve health care, deserve safety, deserve to use the bathroom without fear, deserve to exist in public without being treated as a threat, deserve to love and be loved, deserve to grow old, deserve to be boring, deserve to be ordinary. The demand for extraordinary bravery just to survive is the cruelty. The cruelty needs to end here, in this space. For as long as I have control over this channel, I will not make this a horrifying place for trans people. I know words are not enough. Words do not stop a hate crime. Words do not unfire someone from their job. Words do not undo the damage of a policy written in cold language designed to erase. But words are also not nothing. Words build the atmosphere. Words tell people they belong or whether they are hunted. Words from people with platforms can shift the emotional temperature of a room. I cannot fix the world. I cannot. I cannot undo the rhetoric coming from powerful people. I'm not that powerful. I don't have that big of a platform, and I apologize for my weakness. I can make sure that in this corner of the internet, the message is clear. You are not alone. You are not crazy for being scared. You are not weak for being exhausted. You are surviving something that would break most people. That survival is important, and I see it. Others see it. We see it. The loneliness is the worst part. I've talked about this before. This isolation. It convinces you that no one would notice if you disappear. That is a lie. The lie is the weapon. The weapon is aimed directly at your chest. The people aiming it want you to believe that you have no allies. They want you to feel small. Some people do not fight back. However, some people do. And you may feel small, but small people shrink. Small people hide. Small people disappear, and I know too many flaming gays. I know too many prideful people in gay pride. I know too many people marching in the streets, screaming and ranting about everything. I know too many people like that. You are not small. You are not supposed to shrink. You are supposed to take up space. The space is yours. No politician, no commentator, no anonymous troll with a keyboard that you argue with on Twitter in a 50 comment thread all night and all day can take that from you. And I am not asking you to be loud. Not everyone can be loud. Not everyone should have to be loud. Some people survive by being quiet, by staying safe, by choosing their battles carefully. That is strategy. That is wise. For all the people that have ever called me wise on this channel, that is true wisdom. Knowing when to pick your battles and knowing when not to fight. That is surviving. That is knowing that survival is not always a public performance. You need to survive. Survive however you need to survive. Just do not stop surviving. Do not let the weight convince you that the weight is permanent. Nothing is permanent. This weight is not permanent. The rhetoric will shift, obviously, soon enough. The political winds will change. They always do. The question is whether you are still here when they are, or when they do. I need you to be here still. I need you to be still here. The world needs you to still be here. I don't need you to be a symbol. I don't need you to be a lesson. I don't need you to be a headline. I don't need you to be all crazy and ridiculous. I just need you to be yourself as a person. I know that some of you are watching this from places where the physical danger is immediate. Your family has rejected you. Your workplace has become hostile, where men are messaging you secretly on Grindr, and you are fearful that they might actually try to harm you, and you can meet nobody else or have loving relationships because no man will love you in public and no woman will love you in public, and you have to be the hidden extra side thing, a fetish to allow these people. I understand where it is. The news feels like a countdown. I cannot pretend to understand every version of that fear. I have not lived your life. I cannot feel your pain. I can say that the fear is real and valid and not an overreaction. Because I'm not going to know what it's like to be trans. I'm not going to lie to you. But you are not being dramatic. The world is being cruel. The cruelty is not your fault. You did not cause it. You do not deserve it. You cannot negotiate with it by being smaller, quieter, or more palatable. The people who hate you will not stop hating you because you hid. They will hate a version of you that does not exist. Do not disappear for their comfort. This channel, again, is not a solution to every problem. I cannot offer you healthcare. I cannot offer you a safe house. I cannot offer you legal protection. I'm not going to promise things that I can't deliver on. What I can offer is a space where you will not be mocked, where you will not be debated, where your existence will not be treated as a question. That is not nothing. It is an internet culture that has made trans people into a daily punching bag for engagement metrics. A single room that refuses to play that game matters. The game only works because so many people agree to play. I am not playing. I will not play. The game is evil. The game is boring as hell too. I don't like boring games. Not a fan of very boring games. If I wanted to get rich on this platform, I'd insult trans people all day. I'd grip hard to the right and I'd be financially stable. But that's not what I want to do. I have at least some morality in my soul and spirit and mind. But the game has been the same for years. And I'm tired of pretending it is anything other than cruelty dressed up as debate. They did this to black people, and after black people, it was gay people at the same time, and then they convinced black people to hate gay people, and they're convincing gay people to hate trans people. We gave you gays rights. Well, now we gotta take out these trans people. We can't let them get the same rights as you unless you want your rights taken away. It's this pecking order going down and down and down. The people who hate you will keep talking. They have microphones, they have platforms, they have algorithms that reward their hate because hate gets clicks and clicks get money. I cannot make them stop. All that I can do and make sure that in this space their hate does not echo. I can make sure that when you come here you hear something else. I'm not gonna do some toxic positivity or some fake reassurance. Just honesty. This situation is hard. That's the honest truth. You are not alone in the hard. Anyways, honesty says that there are people who stand with you. You are not some big hoopla of a political statement. You are a person that has always been enough. So here is what I want you to remember. You are safe here. You are loved here. You are protected here. These are promises. I do not make promises lightly. I have broken promises before. I have been silent before. I have learned from that silence. The learning is not complete. The learning never is, but the direction that I'm going in is clear. The direction is toward you and not away from you. The direction is toward protection, toward warmth, toward the simple acknowledgement that you exist and that existence is good. This world is loud and scary. The world is full of people who want you to feel unwelcome. They do not speak for everyone. They don't speak for me. No one speaks for me. They do not speak for people in this community who have already shown up again and again to say that trans lives matter. I'm not saying that as a trend. I'm not saying this is a movement. I don't have a group. You can't donate to that. It is a fact. The fact does not change when the news cycle begins. The fact does not expire. The fact is that you are human. The fact is that your humanity is not for debate. That's it. To every single trans person watching this, to every person who is questioning, scared, exhausted, or hiding, to every person who feels like the world has become smaller than it used to be, I see you. I am saying this as a statement of fact. I am not going anywhere. This channel is not going anywhere. The community around this channel is not going anywhere. Much like All Might and My Hero Academia, I am here. We are here. We are staying. Breathe. Let out a sigh of relief. You've done it. Now, to you beautiful, beautiful people, go drink some water. Eat something. If you have not eaten, text someone you trust or do not. Sit in the quiet if the quiet is what you need. Just stay. Stay because tomorrow might be different. Stay because you deserve to see different. Stay because I am asking you to, not because you owe me anything. I do not want you to live in a world where you are not in it. I don't want to live in a world where you are not in it. I am selfish with that too. Such a selfish demand for me to demand that you not die. I am okay with that. The world is better with you in it. That's just true. That's just so true. Also, how am I gonna get better at Melty Blood and Guilty Gear if you guys go away? I just got my ass kicked by a trans woman that was really good with happy chaos, and I refuse to let that woman die. I refuse until I am as good in the game as her. That's not happening. You can't die on me. This is horribly selfish at the end of the day. I'm not letting that happen. You think I'd let that slide? You think I'd let that go in? You think this is some meaningful message about how I need you to exist by virtue of something crazy? Incorrect. I need you to live so that I can keep winning or keep losing, whatever may have you. I need to make sure that the hyperpop industry stays on top. Hyperpop is too good to die out. I'm not letting it happen. I've heard too many bangers at the club nowadays. Hyperpop is now my favorite obsession at the current moment, and I refuse to lose my hyperfixation because of some nonsense rhetoric policies. That's disgusting. You infuriate me with my whole chest, mind, body, spirit, and soul. You better live, because who told you you could die? I decide. I decide when that happens, and I'll make you immortal for all I care. Newsflash, asshole. Asshole, newsflash. You're now immortal now. You can't die. Sorry. You're immortal. You're a fifth dimensional entity. You control time, space, and all other realities and universes in a cosmic flow in a loop that goes in on itself. You actually have strange cells going through your body. You can create stars by blinking. Sorry, I gave you godhood. Now teach me how to get good at Melty Blood, and teach me how to get better at combos and not dropping them in Guilty Gear. I need to learn these things. Anyways, hopefully this White House thing doesn't make you go freak out on everybody. Have a lovely day or night wherever you're at, and I'm out. Peace. Bye.